All right, so you all are deep into fintech in the crypto world, and your role in that world is the tokenization of mortgages, correct?
Correct, absolutely. So Pineapple's a material investment of ours, and we've taken a very active role recently to further enhance, obviously, the digital asset strategy itself, but to also redefine and re-implement a lot of the tokenization and overall technical advancements of what they do on the brokerage and mortgage platform itself.
Why tokenize mortgages?
Yep. So if you look at the mortgage world itself, right, you have trillions of dollars that pass through and are underwritten, every single year. But the problem is the underlying systems and infrastructure that permeate the mortgage market itself are largely dated. You have PDF files, fragmented data sources that are completely siloed. And it's really hard to really build a very clean, canonical record of mortgages that go through the system. Think about one mortgage that goes through a refi or that's securitized. Every time something happens, you kind of lose a little bit of the source of truth and that overall pure data set. What's happened at this specific location? What's happened with this creditor or this underwriter? So when you start to tokenize these data sets, you can build a single source of truth, and that underlying database itself is extremely valuable for a number of different institutional partners, whether they're credit firms or lenders or even retail investors themselves.
How is it dissimilar to, I think back to the packaging of mortgages that led to the GFC. What's different?
Right. So when you think about obviously packaging mortgages, you're obviously thinking about necessarily, securitizing a particular product offering, collateralizing certain assets. What tokenization is, it's not dissimilar in the sense of how it operates in the market, but tokenization allows you to actually better power those types of products because you have now a more streamlined, in real time, efficient data point that underwriters, lenders, if someone's rehypothecating a collateralized loan, right, they'll be able to understand its performance in real time and better obviously grade and rate that security.
So a lot of our audience are retail investors. They're not mortgage brokers or bankers. How should they view this segment as an asset class and investment opportunity?
Right. Tokenization really spans, from at least my perspective, it's far more similar or akin to software as a service or almost kind of APIs as a service in a way, right? Where you're delivering powerful data infrastructure in a much more streamlined fashion. I can pay to get access to that data. I can pay a recurring fee, I can pay a one-time usage fee, and in return, I get access to what would historically have been a very siloed or misunderstood piece of data. Now I can get that in real time for whatever my use cases or applications may be. This, from our perspective, is going to become an extremely important part of the future, particularly in the world of Web3, where you have a tremendous amount of real-world assets that are being put on chain. You need to be able to somehow tokenize the underlying data set tied to it in order to better create markets and overall efficiencies and how those trade.
Let me ask you this. It feels like anything that's attached to housing has been difficult, right, over the past some time now, basically. So how do you, I guess, separate that cloud that kind of hangs over, because it's obviously a different sector, but you're still exposed to housing.
Right. So there's a few aspects to it. I mean, from an implementation perspective, the biggest thing is obviously the regulatory aspect, right? Each country, and then within each country, each municipality or region has very, very different laws around what you can do with specific types of data, how you can actually transact or share that data. And obviously, if you look at here versus, let's say, Canada, the average mortgage in Canada is a few years. Whereas if you look here, you have 10, 30 year plus mortgages.
50.
Yeah, 50, right? Even HELOCs operate very differently between the two nations themselves as well. And so I think the bigger nuance in terms of what you're getting at is understanding these different islands and ensuring that the products that you're delivering and servicing meet the confines of each of those different segments themselves. It takes a little more work to do it that way, but you have much better equipped tooling that people can actually use and understand for key things.
All right, Anthony, we'll leave our interview there for time. Thank you so much for joining
Awesome.
us. Appreciate that. That's Anthony Georgiades. He's the founding and general partner of Pineapple Financial.